target date set so that it will actually pretty much do it for you where it decreases your investment risk?
Right. And it's going to invest more in bonds and less risky stocks and more funds, things like that. But also there are other ways if you feel like, I've always felt like if you're in the market, once you put the money in the market, it's in the market, and don't touch it and don't think about it. And the money that you put in those investments, it's just ride. You just let it ride, and you don't think of it as like, this is money that I'm using every day. And then there are other ways to kind of make some additional interest, and there's small ways. But have the investments be much safer. So not necessarily investments, but savings. So one of the biggest things you could do is get away from a brick and mortar bank. Actually look at what the bank is giving you on that savings account. Because when I moved my money from a brick and mortar into an online bank, I made more in interest in the first month than I had the entire previous year. So if somebody's willing to give me more money for my money, because that's what they're doing. They're taking and they're using your money to make more money.
When you say brick and mortar, are you saying like no more Chase, no more bank? Like there's banks that are strictly online?
Yeah, there are banks that are strictly online, and because they don't have that overhead and they're not as popular, they're willing to give you more.
Like who, for example?
So one of them is like Barclays. There's Marcus by Goldman Sachs. The American Express has a savings account. There's Ally.
So do you do any brick and mortar?
Sorry?
Do you use any brick and mortar?
So I do use a brick and mortar. My checking account is in a brick and morter. And
who do you use?
Transfers money. So I use Chase.
Okay.
And initially I had a Chase savings account, and I was making absolutely nothing on my savings. And it was just sitting there, and it wasn't working for me. And I'm a firm believer of, you have to give your money a job. Every dollar is your employee.
I'm all about that too.
For you. Exactly. So if it's going to be sitting somewhere, it needs to be sitting somewhere making money.
Yeah.
And then there's, if you have a big chunk, let's say, and you're not sure if you're going to need it, but you want to get a higher interest rate on it, and you want to, you're definitely not going to need it in, let's say, a year or two, you can actually create what's called a CD ladder, which CDs will give you more interest, but you have to lock your money away for a certain period of time. But what a CD ladder is, like, you get one CD, you split the money up into a couple of different CDs. One that's like 5 years, 4 years, 3 years, 2 years, 1 year. Right now you have all of those. Every year, one of those are going to free up. And if you need that money, you pull it out. And if you don't, you put it in another 5 year. And you just keep putting your money into that ladder. And it makes more interest, and every year more money, one CD is freeing up. You decide if you need to use that money, and if not, you throw it back in. And you just keep going. And that's a way to have it kind of be liquid and available to you, but not be.
Right. You know what's going through my mind too, because I want to speak for some listeners out there, because a lot of people, not the best analogy, but it's kind of like how sometimes people think that they can train their own dog, and this is what I've been doing. That's my expertise. Sometimes people think they can manage their own money, and that's not an art and a specialty and a thing in itself that you should have a coach. So what do you say to people that, let me ask you this. It's like, because you feel that because I read your website, you have tons of information. So my aunt, who's one of the most savviest financial people that I know, do you feel that regardless how savvy a person might be, whether like me, who are like, I'm definitely not the best at saving, that's for sure. You can obviously for sure help me, which you're helping me. You're hired. But then Are you bringing something to the table? Someone like my aunt, she's retired, she already had her finance. Are you going to give her some aha moments?
Yeah, of course.
I love that. Of course, you hear that, Tammy? Of course.
I mean, I have an accountant that I get on the phone with regularly to do strategic planning. There's always something that can be improved. There's always something that can be worked on. And
Absolutely.
money is such an emotional thing. We think of it as like this rational, logical thing. It's not. It's completely tied to our emotions. It's completely tied to our childhood experiences. Part of what I do is almost like money psychology. We go in and we talk about
did you say money psychology?
That you've gone through to get you to this point. Why is it that you think about money in this way? And then we break that down, because once you understand why you do things, then you have the opportunity to change them, get rid of them, improve them.
Did you just say money psychology?
Yeah.
I like that. You have so many awesome terms. We have just eaten up, and actually we've talked for more than an hour, because you and I talked for like 30 minutes prior to this. We can talk about this forever, ever. And like, I've been putting everyone in the spot. I have to ask you a serious question that's way beyond if you have corona, which is way beyond. I need to have a background check on you. Are you ready for this question?
What was that?
I have to ask you a serious question.
Okay, go for it.
Are you ready?
Yes.
I gave you my disclaimers. So we love this podcast. You rock. You have so much information. You're our fourth show of the year, right? Will you come back January 4th, 2021?
Of course. Yeah.
Wolfkeeper. Yeah.
That question, that's not serious.
Hey, you rocked. I mean, what a great.
Okay, before you close out, Toriano, I have one more question for Galit. Is that how you pronounce it, Galit?
Galit, yes.
Yeah. Yes, you've been very informative. But the question I did want to ask you, because right now, because Toriano was referring to me when he said as far as, I'm all about getting your financial life in order. And I did have a question regarding financial advisors, because currently I do have two different financial advisors, one that was through employer at the hospital I work for, and then one that I kind of acquired through my father because it was actually his financial advisor. Do you recommend having more than one financial advisor so that you can have a different perspective, or do you think a person should limit themselves to just focusing on one financial advisor?
No, I think that you want to surround yourself with as many people that can help you as possible. You want as many different viewpoints, because one person will have, and especially when it comes to, you're talking about like specifically financial advisors that sell you investments or insurance. You have to understand that also on some level, they are working for a commission.
Exactly.
So they're not necessarily looking at
their motives are not going to necessarily be exactly. So that was because I talked to people and they say, why do you have more than one? Because I actually had three technically, but two that I use on a regular basis. But I talked to some people and they say, well, why do you have more than one financial advisor? Because that's going to, confuse you. I said, no, because the more viewpoints you can get, the better you are as far as your financial future. So I just wanted to get your perspective on that. Because
it's actually one of the reasons that I don't sell investments and I don't sell insurance, and I've never wanted to, because I want it to be about the financial literacy, and I want it to be about what's best for that person. my goal is to teach people how to evaluate opportunities for themselves and not have to depend. Yes, get a financial advisor, but don't depend on them to understand it. Don't depend only on them to choose it for you. You want to know what you're getting into, because when you don't, that's when you could be taken advantage of. That's when these like scams, schemes happen. You want to be able to evaluate it yourself and understand it, even if you're not doing it yourself.
But then that's a whole big education in itself, because a lot of people, honestly, they don't understand. I mean, some people, I hear people that they never look inside of their, like, I check my account every morning. It's the first thing I email, I check my account. So I'm like
well, when you say you check your account, are you talking about like your savings and checking, or are you talking about your other investments like?
No, I'm just talking about savings and checking, because I mean, just recently, a thing that's been happening is a lot of scams and people taking money out of people's accounts. So I mean,
well, absolutely, everyone should check their savings and checking, because you don't know if someone is taken from your account without you knowing. But as far as your investments, I don't believe in checking that monthly, because a lot of times that tempts you to want to move stocks or change your investment strategy, because you get nervous when you see that you're losing money. So and particularly now, I don't even, because I know I'm not going to do anything about it. I'm not going to panic and say, okay, I'm going to cash out, or I'm going to, change my investment strategy. So as far as investments, I don't think that a person should be looking at that on a regular basis. But as far as your checking and savings account, because that's not going to hurt you anyway, unless you don't check it, because if someone is hacked into your account and you haven't checked your checking account statement in months, then when you go to the bank and say, someone's been taking my money, and they're like, well, why are you just not letting us know?
No, where I was going with that story.
You can actually set up to get alert notifications.
Oh yeah, with Chase, that's exactly.
I get a text message anything over 1 cent. So
that's how I have mine set up. Mine is $100, because it would be annoying for me. I would be getting alerts every single day. But I have it set up so that with Chase, if you set up your alert, anytime you go over that amount, it sends you a text letting you know that this was above whatever your limit that you had set was. So.
Yeah, and the reason that I do it at 1 cent at the small amounts is because that's now kind of a favorite of people that are funneling money out of accounts, because they know that small amounts don't get noticed.
Right.
That makes sense. So I'm going to change that today.
$4, $5. Nobody's looking at it, so they could take $5 out of hundreds of accounts, and nobody will say anything.
And Galit, that's where I was going with that, because some people don't even check their accounts. I mean, not even daily. I'm talking about weekly, because I'll hear people. I have a friend that's like that, and he'll come in out of nowhere, just like, "Oh my God, I just realized," and they'll be spending like the whole day on the phone with the bank. This is not my chart. I do that. I do that. I mean, especially now, because they've said, I've been reading articles about there's been so much fraudulent activity going on between these SBA loans and everything else. But that's a whole educational thing right there by itself, which I want to encourage people to go to financialchartress.com. Galit Tsadik is the beast. We're bringing you back January 4th. We're going to kick off the year about finances right out the gate.
I think you need to
bring her back
before. Galit, before he schedules you for January, I think it needs to be for the end of the year, so that people can start the new year out right with their finances, because that's always a lot of people's goals, but they never follow through with it. So
Yeah.
I think it would be better for him to schedule you at the very end of the year so that people can, for the new year,
No, I
start
agree.
out.
For sure. I definitely. Well, you and I are gonna be talking. I appreciate you so much for being on this show today. Thank you to Dana Humphrey, who co-produced the entire month of August, who was just a beast. Thank you, Chanel Nell. Thank you, Tammy Yammy out there with y'all information. You guys all know it's a national holiday today called Toriano Sanzoni birthday. So I will be sending my Zelle account over to everyone so they can contribute. And then Galit, you will be in charge of all Zelle deposits, helping me with my financial, because Toriano lives do matter. And I want everyone out there to celebrate my birthday with me. Amen. Hallelujah.
I'm doing it.
Okay, well, thank you so much for all the information you provided.
I thank everybody. All right. I'll see you all tomorrow, 11 a.m. Central Standard Time. Another amazing special guest, Galit Tsadik. Go out there and serve some surfing today. Play with some sharks for us. And we'll see you all tomorrow. And remember, there's only one alpha dog, and that's you.
Open your hearts and relax and go on this journey with me.
Bye. Bye, guys. Peace and love.